Hey all, in this video I want to cover something in C++ called references. So what's a reference? It's simply a variable that can hold a value. If you'll recall, a variable is simply a location in your computer's memory that contains data. While most variables store data such as strings, characters, or numbers, a reference variable contains the address of the memory location of another variable. Let's show this graphically. Suppose in main we've declared a string variable, username. Here we've represented the variable with a blue square, and the value of username is John. Its memory location is identified by the address 1438. In main, we've also declared a reference variable to a string called reference name, and it's represented by the dark blue square on the right hand of your screen. When you declare a variable, you specify the reference operator, the ampersand, just after the data type. So here we've typed string, the ampersand, then the name of our reference variable, and we've assigned username to reference name. When we assign the string variable to the reference, what happens? As you can see, the memory location, the address of the memory location of username was stored into reference name. Now that we have the reference, we can use it to change the original variable, username. So the statement assigns the string Therese to reference name, but actually what happens is the string Therese gets stored into username. The value of reference name is still 1438, the address of username's memory location. Any changes made to the reference affect the actual variable. The reference variable itself remains unchanged. It will always contain the address of username until it finally goes out of scope and its memory gets used for something else. When you declare a reference variable, and you have to remember this, you have to initialize it to a variable on the same statement which you declare it on. If you try to declare a reference without immediately initializing it, the compiler will give an error. And from the screenshot we've shown here, the Microsoft Visual Studio compiler issues the reference variable name reference requires an initializer error. We can also have reference parameters. Here we have a function, change name. It takes a reference to a string, and then it uses the reference to set whatever variable we give it to with the value, this is your new name. When we call the change name function, we can call it first off anywhere we'd like, from one of our objects methods, from our main entry point, or from another function. We can also pass variables the same way we normally would with a regular function whose parameters are not references, as we show below. So here we simply call change name and passed in the username variable. It looks like a normal function call. The key differences is that the address of username is given to the function change name. The second key difference is when we use the reference parameter, the value of username changes, not the reference. Again, the reference just contains the address of the variable username. The value of the variable username is changed, not the reference parameter. The reference parameter still refers to username, and we show this graphically. In closing, references are variables which store a memory address of where a variable is located. You can also have reference parameters which will refer to the variables which you pass to the function. Any change that occurs to a reference variable will not affect the reference. It affects the variable which the reference refers to. So think of the reference as an alias for the original variable. It's like a second name. You have to initialize a reference to a variable the moment you declare it. We've covered this already. And in this video, we don't have enough time to show this, but I do want to say that reference variables, once you've initialized them, cannot be reassigned to refer to another variable. And it's very easy to test this in your own code. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for learning. If you want to contact me for tutoring sessions or for asking questions, my email is sparkprogrammer@gmail.com, or my secondary email, concord.spark.tutor@gmail.com.